What's up, War Rapport family? We are back with another weekly edition of Facts or Nah. The weekly rapid fire questions coming at y'all, fellas. Y'all ready to do this?
Absolutely.
Indeed.
All right, let's get it kicked off like this. Facts or Nah, Auburn has the toughest schedule in the SEC in 2021. Fellas, what do we think?
I'm going to go facts on this because typically Auburn has the toughest schedule in the SEC every year because of who our two rivals are. Obviously, we have to play Alabama, but we also have to play Georgia, who's heavily favored to win the East this year and face Alabama in the SEC championship. Texas A&M is on the rise. We have to go on the road to play them. We also have to go on the road and play LSU, who I expect to be a better team than they was in record last year. I think we have a pretty tough slate stacked up against us just because of who our rivals are. And I expect Auburn to do well. I mean, we're used to it. It's not like this schedule just got slammed on us all of a sudden. This is what we typically do. And I personally feel that A&M, who had a tough schedule last year, has gotten a little bit lighter. Alabama always seems to be magically lighter. I can't think of any other team in our division who has a tougher schedule. You can argue the Ole Misses or the Arkansas, one of those schools, but for a team that is in the top half of that division, I expect Auburn to actually have the toughest schedule. So, facts.
This one was a toss-up for me. I'm going to go facts. The only one that even comes close is going to be Arkansas. But when you look at our out-of-conference schedule and you stack their out-of-conference game, throwing out the cupcakes, but like actually talking about Power 5 teams that they're going to face out of conference, is Penn State versus Texas. And Penn State, to me, is hands down the tougher game, at least looking at the schedule going forward. So I'm going to have to go with facts having the most difficult schedule landing on the lap of Auburn again for another season in the SEC West. We've got a tough road ahead of us, but I'm looking for us to do some big things. But still going to go facts.
I'm definitely going to go facts on this one. Listen, 6 preseason top 25 teams landed on our schedule. 5 of those in conference, Penn State being the 6th out of conference. And that's a road game versus Arkansas, who has Texas at home. So I'm giving Auburn the edge here. I think this is a gauntlet that we have to run this year. And fortunately for us, we get Georgia and Alabama at home, but we open up on the road at LSU in a place we haven't won in 2 decades. So they'll have Max Johnson returning as a starter. I think it's going to be a tough test to open the season. I just see a lot of things there where you got a Texas A&M team that you have to play and even a South Carolina team that beat us last year. So we'll be looking for some revenge in that game. I'm going facts. Auburn definitely has the toughest schedule in the SEC and probably in the country.
All right, guys, facts or nah? At least 2 returning starters will not be starting game 1 against Akron. What we got?
I am going to go facts on this. Actually, I'm gonna fudge the line on this a little bit here. If you consider Shedrick Jackson a starter, I don't think that he starts this season. And the other one that I actually don't anticipate starting is going to be John Samuel Shenker. With him having a little less time in the offense, having played baseball, I do think one of the other tight ends is going to get the starting nod over him. So those are the 2 that I would come up with off the top of my head. If you count the fact that Ladarius Tennyson actually also started a few games last season, I am anticipating that he may not be the starter for us, as I previously had anticipated at the safety slot. So that's 3 right there that I anticipate could possibly get bounced from the starting lineup. You've still got Simpson, who may not be the outside corner, right? So there is a distinct possibility that more than 2 of starters from last year will not be starting this year for Auburn game 1. So I'm going to go facts.
I'm going to go facts on this one with big-time additions from the portal, not only at wide receiver, but also at defensive back. I expect somebody to lose their job because we brought in some pretty big portal dudes in Demetrius Robertson and Drayshawn Miller and Donovan Kaufman. One of these guys on each side of the ball is actually going to get a starting spot this year over somebody who did start last year. They're not the type of talent that you add if you don't plan on playing them immediately. So I expect those guys to step up, take a spot. I'm going facts on this one.
I'm tempted to go nah here, but I'm going to go facts. I know that in our offense this year, we're asking our tight ends to do a lot more, and we could see multiple tight end sets, which could give Schenker an opportunity to still perhaps start a game. But I'm going to go with him. I took mine. One of my guys is as an option to not start in Schenker, seeing as though he's been missing to play baseball in the spring, so he's already kind of behind the 8 ball. I'm also keeping a lookout on the offensive line. Council, who was a starter throughout the season last year, got injured and was replaced. Could he supplant one of those guys in fall camp to become the starter again? That's another position group that we want to keep an eye on. I'm also looking at Drayshawn Miller, also to actually push Jalen Simpson, who actually did have a pretty good spring. So it'll be interesting to see the competition there. But I do think in the wide receiver core, I don't see Shedrick Jackson or Capers, who did get a start last year and who's been buried due to injuries on the depth chart. I'm not sure if they're going to start beginning the season. All these guys could switch things up as the season goes along. But for game one, I'm thinking in the wide receiver core and the tight end position, I think we could see a shakeup. So it's facts for me.
All right, here we go. Facts or nah? Auburn will finish the season in the top 25. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go facts on this one, but just barely. Because the real question is 8-4 going to be good enough to finish in the top 25 this season? I think with the schedule that we have, 8 wins means that you beat somebody. You beat a top 5 team. You possibly get a top 10 win with the schedule that we have. So if we can pull off an upset versus Georgia, or if we can steal one versus Texas A&M, I do think that with 8 wins and a win against one of these highly rated opponents, that we could finish in the top 25 this season. But with this being Brian Harson's first season, a brand new offense, and depending on how we do at quarterback, it's going to be tough. I think there are going to be some growing pains. So I'm putting us right on the edge, finishing somewhere between 25 and 23 to end the season. Facts.
I'm going to go facts here as well. I have been consistent all off season in predicting that Auburn would actually finish 8-4. And I think 8-4, given the strength of schedule that we have, that we also addressed earlier in this facts or nah, I think for Auburn to come out of it with an 8-4 record, games on the road against Penn State, on the road against LSU, on the road against A&M, Georgia and Bama at home, to actually win one of those games. And I actually picked A&M as the game that we beat late in November. So I can imagine us riding pretty high with 3 losses going into the Iron Bowl. I think that game, should we lose that game to Alabama, should still keep us in the top 25, considering from where we've climbed, where we are in the season, ranked in the top 25. I don't think losing to Alabama necessarily puts us out of the top 25. So I'm going to go facts here. Given that Auburn goes 8-4, it could be 7-5, which makes it dicey, and we probably won't. But I'm going 8-4, and I'm going facts. We do finish in the top 25.
I'm gonna go facts, very reluctantly to say facts on this, only because we are likely going to start the season outside of the top 25. If we had started the season inside the top 25, I'd be way more likely to say, yes, we're going to do that. But the stretch that you're going to have to look at to determine whether or not that's going to happen is what our record is going to be: Penn State, LSU, Georgia. We've got to get a W, in my opinion, in one of those games to catapult us into the top 25. If we lose all 3 of those games, I don't see a reason why we get ranked inside the top 25 going through the rest of our SEC schedule. We've got to beat one of those who are already in the top 25 to push us up there, and then rattle off a couple of more wins until we get to Texas A&M. So for right now, I'm going to say facts, because I do think that we can win 1, if not 2 of those games. And that will put us in the top 25 probably for the remainder of the season, mostly off of strength of schedule. So I'll go facts.
All right, you guys know what time it is. It's time for our fan question of the week. This week's fan question comes from our guy, AU Eagle 2021 on Twitter, and he asks, facts or no, Auburn's defense will have 5 shutout games this year. Fellas, what do we think?
No. That's it. There's no rhyme or reason. Just no. I don't know if Bama has done that recently. I don't know if Clemson has done that recently. I don't. No.
Yeah. No, it's not. No, it's not gonna happen. It's just not. I just don't even see us shutting out the Cupcakes this year. I think our defense is going to be amazing. Shut out in the era of you can't touch anybody in college football. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. Let's in order for us to have 5 shutout games this season, that means we have to shut out all of our Cupcakes, right? They cannot score points the first few weeks of the season. Then we have to either shut out Penn State and another SEC school or 2 SEC schools. If we get to garbage time, we're going to give up a field goal, right? A shutout is, if you had asked, were we going to not give up touchdowns in 5 games, then maybe I could have gotten there with you. But a complete shutout, goose eggs, I don't see it happening. Nah.
Well, get ready for your sun-kissed, sunshine pump moment of the week. I'm going facts on this one. Akron, shutout. Georgia State, shutout. Alabama State, shutout. South Carolina, because we owe you one, shutout. Penn State, anybody with a state in front of their name, shutout. Listen, Derek Mason's defense is here to break wills in 2021. So if you have the will to show up, we have the will to take your will from you, baby. 5 shutouts, an all-time great Auburn defense in 2021. I'm going facts on this one, baby. Let's pump some sunshine straight from the pump. Unleaded.
And probably the diesel right there. All right.
Well, that is it. Another great edition of Facts or Nah. Listen, we want to hear from you. So if you want to have a question featured on this segment, just tweet at us at The War Rapport on Twitter, and you can have your question featured on our next segment. Other than that, you know where to find us. We are The War Rapport on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TW Rapport on TikTok. Gentlemen, we're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.